What's going on, everybody? Bogey here, and I am super excited because I just got a special delivery, and inside this box is just about my favorite thing in the world: new tools. And this is not just a new tool for me, this is a new product for the industry, and I'm really excited to get to test it out, see what it's all about, and share my feedback with you guys. So let's see what it is. Da, da, da. Drum roll, please. And boom. This is clearly the smarter way to spray. What is it? So this is the all-new performance spray gun from 3M. I'm really excited to check it out. And I do want to acknowledge that 3M sent me this along with this awesome care package full of goodies to check out. But I assure you all the thoughts and opinions are my own, and I promise to give you my honest feedback. I gotta say, they must have known who they were sending this to because I am already in love. It's purple. It's beautiful. Okay, the gun isn't purple. The box is purple. And that means I'm already biased. Just kidding. I'm not that superficial in my reviews of products, but it doesn't hurt. I'm not gonna lie. But seriously, I am super excited about this. This is a new professional spray gun from 3M. It is theoretically the lightest in the market, or on the market, I guess. And it is super, super light and very pretty. I like how stealth it looks. The lightness is really cool because when you think about it, if you're spraying all day long with your arm out, like, I don't care who you are, eventually your arm gets tired, especially if you're small in stature like me. So that's a really nice feature to this. There's a ton of other cool things about this that I'm really excited about, but let's see what else is in this packaging, and then we'll take it all out, we'll take a look at it, and I'll let you know what my thoughts are on it. Ooh, another layer. So this utilizes all of the same PPS system that most of you are probably familiar with already. We've got the liners, of course. We've got our lids with the filters integrated into this. All of this can be thrown out and replaced, so it's a whole lot less cleanup. And then, of course, we've got all of our atomizing heads, I guess is the official terminology, HVLP atomizing heads. I've just been calling them tips, but you know, I'm a mechanic, I'm not a painter. This is a new world for me. I'm gonna not lie about that. So we've got all sorts of different sizes. They're color-coded. That's something that's a carryover from the Accuspray system, which I really like. Did I mention how beautiful this packaging is? I'm such a nerd. All right, what else we got? Ooh. And, aw, everything you need to start spraying. That's kind of cool. They've got some tape in here, as well as the PPS cup starter kit with the cup that holds the liners, and a whole bunch of sealing plugs, masking tape, poly tape, different atomizing heads. I believe these atomizing heads are available anywhere from 1.2 all the way up to 2.0. And I'm told that there is an industrial version for doing like even heavier stuff with kind of like a separate pot for those like super, super heavy like undercoatings and that kind of stuff, or rubberized bed liners, that kind of stuff. That's not in this one, but I believe that's available. Now, I do have to point out that this is not the setup that you're gonna get if you buy this from your retailer or supplier. This is kind of a special care package that 3M put together for a bunch of us who are testing it out for them and giving them feedback. So there's some extra goodies in here and fancy packaging and all that good stuff, but there is a complete starter kit. I'll include the link to the product number in the description down below. It's gonna come with all of the basic stuff that you're gonna need to get started, and then of course you can also, all of this stuff is purchasable. It just isn't gonna come in a fancy, very pretty purple package like this. Okay, I'm letting go of the purple. Now, if the gun were purple, come on 3M, we need to make a purple spray gun. Okay, I'm just kidding. I can paint it purple. There's an idea. They sent me two, so I can use one of them to spray the other one. All right, I'm just being ridiculous. All right, enough unboxing fun. Let's dig into this. So I haven't sprayed with this yet, so I don't have my final assessment on how this performs. You're gonna have to stay tuned for more on that. But for now, initial visual review and a little bit of a comparison with the old Accuspray system. I have heard some chatter that folks are saying that this is just kind of a remake of the old Accuspray, and at first glance, there's definitely a ton of similarities. I can see where that comparison gets drawn and why that gets drawn. But this is actually a whole new performance spray gun. It is very different fundamentally as far as the gun itself goes from the Accuspray gun. The system and this whole concept of a complete system is a carryover from the Accuspray. And I think as it should be. That idea, that mindset was a really good one and a win in my book, because it's this whole idea that you have one gun, you have multiple different replacement nozzles, spray tips, whatever you want to call them, that you can use. So one gun with different tips replaces 5 or 6 different guns, and it integrates really well with the PPS cups and the PPS lids. So you have this like complete thing that all works really well together. But this is a whole new spray gun. So the gun itself is a completely new product. Comparing it to the old Accuspray, because I think that's a valid comparison, there was a ton of stuff about the Accuspray that I really, really liked, right? I liked the replacement nozzles. I liked how easy it was to switch from one product to another while you're in the paint booth or outside of the paint booth, just moving from one project to the next. I liked that I could either reuse these, clean them and reuse them, or I could just throw them out and start fresh with a brand new one. That piece has carried over to the performance spray gun, and that's a good thing in my book, right? Not everybody has the funds or the capacity or the ability to have a ton of different guns. If you're brand new to the industry or you just don't have the financial ability to do it, being able to get professional quality spray results of multiple different guns without this dramatically huge investment, I think is a really important thing. You know, I'm a huge proponent of getting more people into the industry and reducing those barriers of entry. So if we can have an accessible tool that provides professional results or delivers professional results, how can you go wrong with that in my book? The other things I liked about the Accuspray system and what has carried over is the cleaning. And that's particularly important for us here because we do a lot of training at Girl Gang Garage. And so we have constantly people coming in and out. And as try as we might to teach all the proper techniques, the reality is you get to see my crunch time with a whole bunch of folks who are not really necessarily used to being in the shop. And self-included, I'm also guilty. We don't always take the best care of our things as much as we should. I hate to admit it. This is the old Accuspray gun. I have 2 of them. We've all used them a whole bunch in the shop. You can tell it is definitely very well used, very worn, not very well taken care of. I'm embarrassed. But that's kind of the cool thing about this. So the exterior gets a little dirty. No big deal, right? Because at the end of the day, if I forget to clean my tip out well or forget to clean my gun out well, I can just throw this away and it's not the end of the world. No more like 3 in the morning waking up with that nagging thought, did I clear the clear out of my gun? Or am I going to come back in the morning to a gunked up mess and take forever to get this thing clean? So that is a really cool thing. It just makes it so much easier on so many levels. So digging into a little bit more of the detail of this, we know that kind of theory, conceptually wise, the Accuspray and the performance spray gun have some similarities. They're all inclusive with the PPS. They have replaceable tips. But the thing about the Accuspray that I didn't like was the execution of these replacement spray tips or nozzles. They were really cool in a lot of ways. They're color-coded, which makes it really easy to know which size tip you're using. But the way they click on, this is going to go onto here, clicks into place. There's little tabs right here that'll kind of help it lock into place, and you'll hear it kind of a little bit difficult sometimes, especially if they're used already. But you'll hear it kind of click into place. Of course, it's fighting me right now, right? which is perfect because it's showing you exactly what I'm talking about. So didn't always really positively click into place. And if you were reusing your tips, instead of replacing them each time, if you're reusing these over time, that would actually wear down, and that could be catastrophic because you think about it, you've got your PPS cup full of paint, and the minute you put air to it, you think you're clicked in, you're not actually clicked in, you put air to it, and suddenly it pops off and you've got paint everywhere. Not a good situation. Way to ruin a day, right? So where the overall concept of replacement nozzles or tips has carried over to the new performance gun, the tips themselves are completely redesigned and the attachment point is completely redesigned, and that's a huge win for me. If you take a look at this, rather than it being a pop into place, you see this right here? This is the collar for it. This is going to twist and unlock. Then your nozzle is going to come off. When you put a new one on, it just pushes into place and it's going to twist and lock in, and it's like an affirmative lock in. There's no guessing, am I fully clicked in or not? Like, it fully locks into place. There's no way this is coming off. That by itself is a huge win for me. I'm really excited about that. Now, if you are familiar with the old Accuspray system and you've used it quite a bit, the color coding of the nozzles carries over. So that's kind of cool. So you know, if you were familiar and used it often, that the orange was the 1.2, I think. Just kidding, 1.4. Orange was 1.4, green was 1.3, blue was 1.2. There were a couple of other colors as well. If you were familiar with that color coding transferred over. So orange is still 1.4, green is still 1.3, blue is still 1.2. So that's kind of cool. It's a smaller color indicator than the whole thing being blue, but still that same color indicator for easy recognition of what you have on the gun right now, what you need, grab and go, very easy to do. I will say, right off the bat, one thing that I don't like about the new nozzles, functionality-wise, I think they're hands down a win, but minor little thing, I liked the fact that the old spray tips were clear all the way through, right? That meant if I am reusing these rather than replacing them each time, I can very easily tell if it's fully clean. If there's any remnants still left in there, I can visually inspect it and see if there's anything that hasn't been cleaned out as properly as it should be or could be. The new ones, you can see the base of it, the body is actually black rather than transparent. So while the end of it is clear and I can see through and see whether it's clean or not, the base of it is not. So minor thing, it's not a huge problem. It's not the end of the world by any stretch. If you're cleaning your guns properly, you're cleaning your tips properly, not a problem. But just a little side note, something to be aware of. There is a little bit of a drawback there, but overall I still think I'll take the functionality of the locking into place over the visibility of seeing whether it's dirty or not. Another thing that's carried over conceptually from the Accuspray system to the new performance spray gun is the whole flow of how paint works and travels when you're spraying. It never actually goes through the gun itself. So basically what happens is you've got all of your paint in your PPS cup. It's going to travel from the PPS cup down through your replacement nozzle and then out through the tip. It never actually goes through the gun. So there's no having to disassemble the gun when you're done and clean out all of the interior components. The paint never touches any of them. All you're going to do is unlock it, pull this off, right? And then in theory, if you're not reusing your nozzles or your tips, you can just dispose of all of this and be done with cleanup. You just need to do a little bit of a wipe right here. That's the only place that paint is going to touch, and then you're done. Cleanup's finished. So no worrying about whether you got it fully clean, whether you're going to have a nightmare later. Just a whole lot easier. So very cool for both professionals, hobbyists, newbies, or just absent-minded folks who get distracted really easily. Less to clean, less to worry about. It makes it more efficient, and I'm spending less time cleaning and more time spraying and producing, and that means more time making money. So all good things in my book. All right, the gun itself. So they're saying that this is the lightest spray gun on the market, and I've got to say, just feeling it, even with the PPS cup attached to it, I think they're right. I'm gonna have to do a weigh measurement with my little cooking scale and see what the actual difference is. I used to think that the Accuspray was really light, and it is. It's a very light gun, and that's a benefit in my book, right? We're a shop full of women. Most of us are smaller in stature, and generally women carry their strength in their legs, not in their arms. Not always, but generally. And so having a lightweight gun, and honestly, male, female, little, big, doesn't matter. No matter who you are, if you're spraying all day long, if you're doing this professionally, your arm gets tired. So having a lightweight gun that feels good in your hand is really important, really crucial. The Accuspray was pretty light, and it felt pretty decent, right? It's relatively a natural fit and feel even for people with little hands. This is so much lighter, like a dramatic difference, even over the Accuspray and definitely over the other guns that I've used. It feels higher quality. It's still this really lightweight composite material like the original one was, but it's a steel reinforced composite, so it's sturdy. They tell me that they've driven over it and done drop tests and all sorts of crazy stuff. I'm kind of tempted to try that myself, but I don't want to risk it because I kind of want to use this. But it's supposed to be able to stand up to all sorts of torture and abuse, which I'm sure we will put it through in the due course anyway. But it's crazy light. It feels thinner through here, like right in this spot where you're going to be gripping it the most. Feels a little bit narrower than the Accuspray. I'll show you that. Right, just a little bit narrower. And what that translates to is the way it feels in your hand. Right? Very, very natural feel to it, especially for people with little hands. Now, I don't know if you've got huge hands, how this is going to feel. I can only speak to my experience, but it feels very natural. Everything is kind of where I want it to be. I like that the handle grip of the new performance gun is actually slightly longer than the Accuspray. You can see that difference there. This is, if you can see the difference, the length of the trigger is actually slightly different. So the length of this trigger is smaller. It's more comfortable for me to only put 2 fingers around it, whereas this one, I can very comfortably have 3 fingers around it, whatever your preference is for holding it, but I like that it's a little bit longer, feels very ergonomic. I like that they've added the hook. The Accuspray did not have that, and I know that's not a big deal, but it's a convenience thing. It's just another way for you to hang it. The adjustments. Now, all guns obviously are going to have adjustments, and the performance gun is no different, so you can adjust your spray pattern and your flow. I'm liking how these feel. They're a lot smoother, and I feel like I'd be able to get more minute adjustments with it versus with the Accuspray has these metal adjusters, and they kind of just felt a little bit notchy to me. They were a little harder to turn, especially as the gun got older. So it was just a little bit trickier. So minor things, but can make a huge difference if you're spraying day in and day out. And even if you're newer to the industry, it makes a big difference because it's just that ease of use, ease of learning, ease of figuring the thing out and being able to adjust it easily, right? So little things that in the end make a huge difference. Now, neither of these guns, the Accuspray or the performance spray gun, have a built-in regulator. Now, they do come with an inline analog regulator. Some people prefer digital. I'm sure you can upgrade to a digital one, but it would have to be inline because neither of the guns come with an integrated pressure regulator. But I actually like that. It's just kind of a convenience factor. If my regulator fails, I'm just replacing the regulator. I'm not replacing the whole gun or having to send it off to be repaired and be down for a little while. It's kind of a nice thing to have the digital indicator, a digital regulator inside your gun, but at the end of the day, I think it's kind of one more gadget that could fail, and I'd rather not have that be the scenario. All right, so it passes the visual inspection, the look and feel, the overall concept and theory of the complete spray system, but at the end of the day, your final product is going to be the final determination on how much of a win this new performance gun is in my book. What does it deliver as far as final output? So I loved the Accuspray for epoxy, for primers, for high build primers, but I didn't really like its results on color or on clear. And that's a sentiment that I've heard echoed quite a bit throughout my colleagues and throughout the industry. I'm hearing positive things about the performance spray gun and its end product and the results that you can get from it, that they really are professional level and on par with any of the high end, or better than any of the high end guns that are on the market. So I'm excited about it. I think if you can get a professional quality gun, professional quality results in an accessible package that makes it usable by the pro, but also accessible for the non-pro, that's something that I'm a huge fan of. So we're gonna have to see for my final thoughts on this until I actually get this in the booth and start playing with it. But for that, you're gonna have to wait for the next video. I'm gonna go get this thing set up with the regulator and with the airline fitting, get myself suited up and start playing with it a little bit. And I will make another video for you showing you what the results of that were, how the final product turned out. And in the meantime, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, comments below. If you have questions, please let me know. I'm going to provide a link for the kit if you want to purchase this and try it out yourself, as well as a link to 3M's website for more information. So definitely check all of that out and definitely tune back in for the final results on my 3M Performance Spray Gun review.